Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. First tonight, the Prime Minister has made his first trip to Tasmania in months, selling the federal budget to businesses across the north. Both Scott Morrison and the Premier face questions about why they weren't appearing together, with the PM absent during the recent state election campaign.
Spending the morning packing boxes,
ready to go, off to market,
before selling the fruits of his treasurer's labour.
What is absolutely key is that we keep focused on backing Australians to invest, to employ, whether it's the additional training initiatives, the additional apprenticeship support that we have in the budget.
The instant tax write-off has been instrumental in enabling our business Hillwood Berries to undertake 2 major projects.
Scott Morrison taking a tour of the state's north and northwest.
He's come here today for 2 reasons. His two northern MPs. This is a marginal seats tour, not a jobs tour.
Where the bloody hell has ScoMo been for the last 3 months? And he turns up in, guess what, 2 of the country's most marginal seats.
This is his first trip to Tasmania in months, his presence lacking by the Premier's side during the state election campaign.
Yeah, I'll be catching up with him later today. We were texting each other this morning.
But not appearing together. In fact, the PM and the Premier were today holding separate press conferences at the same time.
Why aren't you with the Prime Minister today?
Well, I'm here with you.
A blunt Peter Gutwin in no mood to entertain ideas of a rift.
I know the press make a lot of it, the fact that he wasn't here during the election campaign, but we have busy schedules, and when he was set to come, he couldn't because of COVID.
Another day, another chapter of the Adam Brooks saga.
As more comes to light, things just don't add up. They're continuing to not add up. And who knew what and when is what we need to understand.
Labor say they're considering taking things further than the Greens, who referred the matter to the Integrity Commission. The PM offering his opinion on the state of play.
He's rightly resigned.
Josh Duggan, 7 Tasmania News.
Hundreds of students have swapped textbooks for placards across the state, calling on our leaders to put a stop to fossil fuel projects as part of a National Day of Action. Organisers of the school strike for climate in Launceston took aim at the Prime Minister, who was invited to the rally but was a no-show.
Chanting for change.
What do we want? Climate action! When do we want it? Now!
Tasmanians calling for more to be done to protect the environment and reduce carbon emissions. Leading the charge, students.
I thought I'd really love to make a difference in the smallest way possible.
People look down, oh no, that's just a kid, they don't know what they're talking about, they're not informed, they haven't done the research, when in fact maybe we have done more research.
We've got to send the strongest message to the Morrison government that we possibly can, and taking some time out of school to do that, we believe is one of the strongest ways of sending that message to them.
In Launceston, the Prime Minister was invited to attend the climate rally but didn't show up.
He should be here today facing the future generations. They're going to cop it in the neck if we don't act soon. So it's a missed opportunity.
Personally, I think that there is always more that can be done, but here today I'm here to listen to what people have to say.
The Greens using the protest to announce their plans to introduce a safe climate bill into Parliament.
Maps out an achievable pathway across all sectors of the economy to lower their emissions incrementally over time.
In Hobart, around 1,000 people gathered on Parliament lawns calling on net zero emissions by 2030, with this message to politicians.
Without some proper action from you, don't hope to keep your jobs going much longer, because we're going to get rid of you at the first possible opportunity. Act or you're out.
Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmania News.
The man with Tasmania's AFL bid in his hands, Colin Carter, says the state's passion and drive for its own team is the biggest takeaway from his trip here. The former Cats president and AFL commissioner is scrutinising every detail of the bid and is aware his view carries weight, describing calls on new teams as 100-year decisions.
Colin Carter knows a thing or two about new AFL teams, having been involved in Fremantle and Port Adelaide's entries to the league in the 90s, and later the Gold Coast Suns and Greater Western Sydney Giants. Now he's examining what many see as the last piece of the national competitions puzzle.
This is a traditional football state, and so It's not a question of going somewhere and trying to convert people to our game at all, and I understand people down here are frustrated that they haven't had a team for a long time.
With the state's task force report in his hands, Mr Carter has given our stadiums the tick, given our track record hosting top-tier games. But some long-standing concerns still linger.
The size of the population is a factor, but also the intensity of the support within that is a factor.
He admits a 19-team competition isn't ideal, but says it is workable. If Tasmania is to come in, there would have to be faith from the AFL gods.
I believe that the decisions on teams are basically 100-year decisions. If you look back over the history of sporting competitions around the world, once you're there forever.
Mr Carter will hand his report to the AFL in July. It's then up to the league to decide when it will be made public.
We just want a decision, and if it is yes, fantastic, let's get on with it, but let's not kick this can down the road anymore.
Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
A Hobart runner has nearly completed her gruelling mission to race up Mount Wellington 7 days in a row for charity. Miriam Dowie pushing her abilities to raise research funds and awareness for childhood cancer.
Using all her strength to run up the very last hill, finally reaching the hazy peak. An emotional end to a tough and chilly 2-hour slog up the windy roads of Mount Wellington.
From the springs to here is the hardest. That's when the brain goes a bit, but yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, especially at the last 2Ks when you can see the pinnacle and you know that you've reached the top, and the views definitely help.
Miriam Dowie finishing her 5th 21-kilometre run up the mountain this week, with 2 more to go over the weekend. And she's not slowing down just yet.
My body's coped really well, and I'm slowly getting more in tune with the track as each day goes along, so it's not getting harder. I wouldn't say it's getting easier.
Competing in countless races and marathons across the state, Miriam is now using her sport for a cause, raising awareness for a local organisation, supporting clinical trials into childhood cancer and impacted families here in Tasmania.
I live for the day when a parent hears those words, your child has cancer, but it's okay because we've got a cure. And we've got that cure because of people like Miriam.
It means a lot to me, and I hope that I know that I can't fix the problem, but I hope that by doing this we can at least help alleviate and make things a bit more, easier in the long run.
A cause close to Miriam's heart due to her work in oncology and paediatric nursing, as well as losing several family members to cancer.
Cancer is a horrible illness. I've seen firsthand its effects on all ages, including adults, children, adolescents. It affects everyone.
Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
A new Community Champion Award has been launched to celebrate Football Tasmania's dedicated army of volunteers. From club presidents to coaches and those who run the canteen, 1,600 volunteers keep soccer running in the state. The new award aims to recognise those who give up with their time, often filling hundreds of roles within each individual club.
There's no real paid roles within the eastern region. We have 1,500 kids or more in our region this year with 170 teams. So that's somewhere in the order of 160 coaches.
In Tasmania alone, in football alone, the economic value of volunteers is in the order of about $20 million per annum. So without them, our sport simply wouldn't exist.
Nominations for the awards are now open. Hobart businesses are preparing for a red makeover in anticipation of Dark Mofo. The annual Paint the Town Red initiative is calling on the community to light up shops and homes, warming up the city to welcome the iconic festival. The theme also expanding to red food and drinks, with plans already well underway to transform Hobart's nightlife.
We will be highlighting the whole of our Georgian facade in red LED lights. It's going to look gorgeous. The whole buildings are lit up.
You see the whole of Hobart comes out to celebrate the winter as well, the off-season. What used to be a negative time of year but is now a real positive. We embrace that cold, we embrace that redness, and we really enjoy ourselves.
This year's 7-night Dark Mofo Festival kicks off on June 16.
To the State League, the Tigers can consolidate a place in the top 4 with a win over North Hobart. Playing coach Clinton French returned to the field for the Demons last week and relished the experience. While Luke Graham is back in a big boost for the Tigers, he'll combine with Tyler Carter up forward.
Him and Tyler probably our two best statistically forwards over the first month of the season. So, yeah, he's a huge in for us, Luke, because he was in great form.
We wouldn't go away, like we just kept coming and coming, and that's probably the first game where we were like that, other than maybe round one where we come back from a fair bit down.
While Lauderdale's AFL recruit Alan Christensen has pulled up well after his return. He will line up against Clarence for another instalment of the Eastern Shore Derby.
I knew that, bar some sort of disaster, I was going to be okay, and yeah, we got through, felt fine, felt really good.
We're content with where we're at. It's great to be 4-2, but we've got a fair bit of work to do.
Both of those games are on tomorrow. North Launceston and Launceston are playing tonight. In the NPL, reigning champion Devonport is confident it's getting its season back on track. After a mixed start, the Strikers are unbeaten in 3 matches to be sitting third. They face ladder leader South Hobart this weekend and are wary of their attacking prowess.
Well organised, well coached, got some outstanding players. I think Nick Morton's probably the best player in the competition.
In the women's, Kingborough is looking to shore up its defence. The side scored 16 goals, but also conceded 16 this year.
Something that we've been working on the last couple of weeks is our defensive structure. The last 2 games in particular, we've conceded 9 goals.
The Lions also face South this weekend. The Collingwood Magpies have touched down in Launceston ahead of their annual Super Netball fixture. It's the Pies' first game at the Silverdome since 2019. Captain Jiva Mentor says while they're going in with confidence after last week's win, they know they'll have to play an aggressive game against the Queensland Firebirds.
It'll be a tough game. They're in some good form and they've obviously got the firepower in Ramelda Aiken and Gretel Beretta in the attack end. So for us, it'll just be about focusing on what we need to do.
The match kicks off at the Silverdome at 3 p.m. tomorrow. And with the state's latest AFL bid well and truly in motion, tonight's Friday flashback goes back to where it all began. Tasmania's first attempt to enter the league was in the mid-90s, a time when the competition was rapidly expanding. But it all came crashing down with one final slap in the face to a local club. In 1996, a whopping 18,000 fans saw Carlton and Geelong play in a practice match in Hobart. The time felt right to launch the state's first official bid for an AFL side.
I believe sincerely that Ross Oakley will stand before us in the not too distant future, open an envelope and say, and you are the winner, Tasmania.
A number of grounds were singled out to be the new club's home: KG5, Bellerive, the TCA ground, North Hobart and York Park. But with major upgrades needed and concerns about the squeeze on residential land nearby, focus shifted to a brand new stadium at the Glenorchy Showgrounds. Concept plans were drawn, the formal bid finalised and the TFL hierarchy travelled to Melbourne to make its case.
We view it very seriously. We have to view it seriously. I mean, we haven't come here this morning just for the fun of it.
The catch cry, Tassie, go for it. And it even had Carlton and United Breweries as a major sponsor on board. But the bid failed to gather steam.
We've told Tasmania that there's no spot available at this stage.
In one last roll of the dice, Tasmania even considered adopting a relocated Fitzroy. With its bid lost to history, Tasmania endured one final humiliation from the club which did enter the league, Port Adelaide, which threatened to sue Devonport for copyright infringement after it tried to align itself with the Power.
Under the threat of legal action, it's being forced to drop the name Port Power, its logo, and return all merchandise which it's been told is to be destroyed.
The battle lines were drawn 25 years on. The fight for the Apple Isles inclusion is still on.
Good evening. A fine day today across most of the state after a cool start. Hobart 16, 15 in Launceston and Burnie, and Devonport 14 degrees. 17 the high recorded today at Bushy Park, St Helens and the Friendly Beaches 16, 15 on King, Flinders and Maria Islands, 15 also at Smithton, Grove and Strawn, Lowhead 14 and Lyweenie 12. Cumulus clouds seen across the west and through the Bass Strait today with clear skies elsewhere. Cloud over parts of Australia, but otherwise mostly clear skies. A frontal cloud band lies south of WA with bands of cloud across the Southern Ocean. Tomorrow, the high has extended over the Tasman Sea and continues to extend a ridge across the mainland. A cold front lies west of WA with a low just to the south, and another front is crossing the Southern Ocean. Now a look at coastal waters. North to northwesterly winds 10 to 25 knots, reaching 30 knots about the west and south, with seas 1 to 2 metres reaching 3 to 4 metres about the southwest. A gale warning is issued for southwestern coastal waters from southeast Cape to Low Rocky Point, and a strong wind warning is current for remaining southern and western coastal waters. Tomorrow in Hobart, a sunny 20, 18 for Maydena, sunny there, and partly cloudy 15 degrees at Oatlands. Morning fog in the north, 17 in Launceston, 16 in Devonport, and Lyweenie a mostly sunny 11 degrees. Burnie, a morning fog, 16, 18 and mostly sunny for Strawn, and Marrawar, 17 degrees. St Helens sunny and 17, Swansea and Orford both 18 and sunny. Looking ahead to Sunday now, fine apart from possible early showers about the southwest and far south. Monday fine until light showers develop about the north, mainly over elevated areas. And Tuesday fine until showers develop about the north and west during the morning, extending statewide in the evening. A sunny day in Melbourne, 19, Alice Springs 25 and Broome 34, mostly sunny in Darwin 33, Sydney 21 and Canberra 16, and a possible shower in Brisbane 23 degrees. And right now in Hobart, it's clear and 11 degrees, Launceston clear 10 degrees, Devonport clear 11. And Kim, it's looking like a sunny Saturday ahead for most of the state.
And that is all your news for now. Louise Hooper will be with you over the weekend as always. Thanks for your company this week. On behalf of the entire 7 Tasmania team, good night.